All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Boston Boys Sports Podcast. I am, of course, your host. I'm Eli Horrigan. You know Kiefer the Beard Bontos. Kiefer, what's up, buddy?
How you guys doing? Steve's back, baby. Steve's back.
And I was gonna say,
Yeah.
back and looking better than ever is the guy, Stevie Fernandez. Stevie, what's up, brother?
Not much. Good to be back, gentlemen.
Just glad to see you back up on your feet. It's great to have you here. We always need that third. You bring us something. We didn't have the fight in us last week because no one was going to talk down about Drake May because me and Kiefer got a little out of control. But we always want to mention we're partnered with Jones and for Sports. We make sports better. Check them out on X. Check them out on Instagram. Check them out on YouTube. Great content daily. And today we're going to do something a little different. We are not going to go opening thoughts from everybody because we have so much to talk about on the Red Sox and on the Patriots and what's going on there. And we might make our way into USA basketball. So I'm just going to hit an opening thought real quick. I told these guys I have something that I wanted to bring up. And we are a specifically sports show. These guys, this is going to be a blind reaction, I should say. We are a sports show. We don't dip into anything else. So I'm towing a line here. But I really do enjoy the Olympics. I love the Olympics, both winter and summer. I like winter a little bit better. I just think hockey is probably the main reason. But I am just so disappointed in the Olympic Committee. And I don't know which committee to be disappointed in, but I hope this can reach them. Sha'Carri Richardson was suspended and missed the Tokyo Olympics for THC. THC, let that sink in for a moment, because in 2024 in Paris, the Netherlands trot out Steven van der Velde, who's 29 years old. He went to prison in 2016 for raping a 12-year-old girl in England. He was 21 at the time of the crime. The International Volleyball Committee said it was powerless to stop the Netherlands from sending him after he qualified. This is so beyond disturbing to me, and it's shameful for the Netherlands, the International Volleyball Committee, and the Olympics itself. And I'm sorry to start the show off on such a sour note, but I just need it to be noted how displeased I am for the decision to let a monster compete. There is a 11-year-old female competing in this Olympics. How should she feel? How should her family feel? This is so wrong to me, and I just wanted to put that out there.
That's so messed up.
Yeah,
I mean,
you said everything. You said everything. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. There's no excuse for that.
There isn't at all to put it. You kick someone out for marijuana, and then this happens, and then they have some stuff to discuss at the end of the Olympics, I assume.
Yeah, it's just highly disturbing to me, and I don't want to take the whole show up on that. I just wanted to put that out there because it's shameful. I'm so glad he's not an American, because if he was, I wouldn't watch a second of the Olympics. I will say the first time Netherlands trotted out, he's at Olympic. He does the beach volleyball. And the first time, I guess they booed him relentlessly the entire time he was out there, which he should get. But this guy, they've given him private quarters. He doesn't have to talk to the media. He comes and goes on a separate end. They've done everything to protect this guy, and this is what's wrong, with the Olympics. If you're going to have him in there, he's got to face the questions. Every chance you get, he should be peppered. Now, never mind being his teammate or somebody he's playing. I wouldn't even want to share the beach with that guy.
Oh, no.
All right. Well, listen, that's me getting on my soapbox, and I will say it probably comes from all the Boston boys. I think I can speak for all of us when I say that. So, but let's move right on to Patriots minicamp, because there's been a lot going on. This is a busy day in baseball, and we are going to get to baseball. But Patriots minicamp is started, and Kiefer, why don't you lead us off?
So there's a lot going on with the Patriots. I've been sending you guys text messages about stuff I'm reading, stuff I'm watching. First off, you got Judon flipping out on Mayo. First day of padded practice, not in pads. Mayo goes up to him. Where's Wolf? Why isn't he down there talking to him? Why isn't he talking to Judon? why is it all falling on Mayo? That's not Mayo's job. You already made him the de facto GM. Why even let it affect the team? I don't get that at all. Steve, I know you've been saying trade Judon, get rid of him. I think Eli, you might have mentioned it once or twice.
From Steve. Steve's been on the forefront of the trade Judon, so I'll let him go on a rant here. But he did, I guess, go up to Elliot Wolf too. So Elliot Wolf was somewhere. That one wasn't caught on camera, but they said there was words exchanged between him and Wolf as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Stevie, I'll let you go on a rampage here with Judon.
Yeah, I mean, and then he doesn't show up today for whatever reason. I mean, whatever it is, for me, it's simple. It's all of the same stuff I've already said. I think he's like 5 days away from turning 32. He's coming off the bicep injury. Like I said before, 24 and a half sacks in the first half of seasons with the Patriots, 7.5 in the second half of seasons. He just tails off. And then obviously last year he was injured. What did he play? 4 games, I think it was.
Yeah.
It's just, he doesn't fit the rebuild. You're in a full rebuild. He's about to be 32. If you can get anything for him, a 4th, a 5th, whatever it is, take it. Send him somewhere where he can win. If you love him that much and he's a great guy and this is just a contractual thing, send him somewhere where he can win before he ends. But I'm not going to give him, people are talking, give him 15 a year for the next 2 or 3 to make him happy. That's not just to make him happy. That business savvy, like that's stupid. I mean, it's difficult to put it in a nicer way. So for something like that, absolutely move him, get what you can for him, and just move on.
I definitely agree, and I want to circle back to something you just said. Get a 4th or a 5th. What is his trade value right now? Because in the right defense, he probably can still make a difference. Right now, I think when he's your only real pass rusher, I mean, he's a dominant pass rusher. He obviously gasses out in seasons, but if he's not the guy who has to do it, he might have a little bit of value on a really good defense.
Oh, I definitely believe he could. The problem is he's not going to show up unless he's paid. My ideal is you let him play 4 or 5 games because we know what he does in the beginning of the season. He might come out with 7.5, 8 sacks in the first 5 games. Then when his value is high, I'd trade him at that point. That's the ideal. But if he's not even going to play unless you pay him, I'm not paying him. I'm not extending him. I'm not giving him anything. I'm moving him now. Like we said, I mean, you got to get what you can get. I don't know if he could get a 4th for him. It might be a 5th conditional, something along those lines. But it's just business-wise, it has to happen now. It just makes sense for them to split.
And now I'm going to bring up the hypothetical here in Madden. And I'm sorry, I'm a nerd. I play Madden. I have gone into 4 different franchises to try to see what I could do with certain trades of players. And the best I could get for Judon was a 6th-round pick and some low-level player I found on the team.
Yeah.
Well, so let me speak to that. It's time to graduate, put on your big boy pants, and get NCAA 25. Madden is gone. I had Madden. It's all I played. And then NCAA came out, and I cannot put it down. I'm currently in an undefeated season with the University of Southern Florida. Go Bulls. As the head coach, we're playing for the championship game, and hopefully I'll get some offers from bigger schools. But we won't talk too much about that. But so in the way of Matt Judon, I do think he will hold some value. His age hurts him. The problem is, like Steve said, but this is another problem to them not spending money, because one of the things he was quoted as saying was, we have all this cap room, why won't you pay me? And this is what happens when you don't spend your cap and you don't surround your team with big players. When you go out and you get KJ Osborne and you get Antonio Gibson and you pay for Jacoby Brissett, but you have a huge cap. Now he's saying, well, then pay me. I'm here. And that's the problem is I don't think Judon's a bad player. I think Judon wants to get paid. I don't blame Judon for wanting to get paid.
No.
But you didn't pay anyone else. So he's looking at that and saying, well, you have all that money, then give it to me.
But they did pay other players. They paid everybody that was already there, and that probably pisses them off more. Duggar got his, Peppers got his. The list goes on and on, and that probably pisses them off.
30. You know what I mean? But like,
I know that. I know that.
From our standpoint, like, he's smart enough to see they're paying guys who are below 30. They're paying the future. They don't want to pay you. You're 32 years old. You flame out at every season. So you're not going to get the money. I don't blame him. He's going right to the media. He's making a smart business move for himself. it doesn't help the Patriots. If you had spent that money and they didn't, you can go to them and say, listen, you play for what you're being paid for. We don't have any more money. But they didn't do that. They penny pinched. They pulled the Red Sox, if I may, and they penny pinched and they said, well, we think we can win with pieces, you know. It's just not it's not gonna work.
No, and the CBS Sportsline had a thing talking about multiple players and how Godchild might be looking at an extension.
He was on my list. He actually, Godchow, well, he wants a deal. He just said too that he believes that he should be making more money and he wants a deal. And he's another guy. Move on from him.
I don't disagree. They're rebuilding. Who cares?
Yeah, he's an interior defensive lineman, and I'm a big guy. I'm never going to make the NFL, but there's a million big guys out there who you can stick in front of the line. He doesn't wow me. I'm not paying guys on my defensive front who don't wow me. He's not Vince Wilfork. Vince Wilfork was the guy who you paid.
Oh,
Yeah.
Speaking, and I want to go to Jerod Mayo too, because what are your thoughts on Jerod Mayo right now as far as coaching? If you've watched any of his press conferences, his handling with going over to Judon, I believe he asked Judon to leave. I think that was a report if he wasn't going to practice, and you don't need to be here and be a distraction. How do you feel about Jerod Mayo right now?
Jerod Mayo's focusing on the team. He's trying to, if you don't want to be here because you're not getting paid and we don't want to pay you, don't be here. Why are you here sitting on the sideline being a distraction?
Yeah.
Move.
I do like that. I mean, I would say a baseline, right, for a guy who's never coached. So you start him at a 5. He's right in the middle. He's not good. He's not bad. You don't know what he is. Everything you've seen, is he still a 5 baseline for you? Has he gone up? Has he gone down?
I'll let Steve go with this.
I know where Steve's going.
I'm going to keep him at a 5 because I think it's only fair. I mean, they've been in pads for 2 days. So I'm going to slow down and not overreact on anything. His handling of the media is obviously different than Bill's, so it's something for us to get used to watching and listening to.
Yeah.
The handling of Judon, that's got to be tough. I mean, he's been around the team, so he knows these players anyway. It's not like he just walked into the building. However, with that being said, I mean, it is a different dynamic. He's the head coach. He's running everything. So to have to go over there, ask him to leave, tell him he's a distraction sitting on the pads or the trash can, wherever he was moment to moment. So I guess, I mean, yeah, I respect the fact that he went over there and tried to handle it the way that he did, especially like you said, Kiefer, like Elliot Wolf was nowhere to be found. Mac Rose, none of these guys are around. The guys that probably should be there considering the circumstances, because Mayo doesn't handle contracts, so it's not really his problem.
It's not.
Yeah.
Right, and it shouldn't be, So, yeah, I mean, I'm going to keep him at the 5, but, I mean, I'm hoping for good things from him, but that's not going to change that I hated the hire. But yeah. I'm hoping for good things.
Yeah. Kiefer?
You can keep him at a 5, but he needs to focus more on what he's doing now. I've said it before. I coached my son in football. I had him crying on the field one day, and he was distracting my players. I kicked my own kid off the field. The owner, he came up to me and was like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "I'm not going to have a sitting crybaby sitting on my field because he doesn't want to hear the things that are getting called and stuff like that. Like, get off my field." The owner walked away. Didn't even say, walked away. Didn't even care. You kicked him off the field, all good. Yep. If you're a distraction to the team or my team, get off the field. Be a distraction somewhere else. Go on social media. Go talk to the press outside of the field. Don't bring it in front of my practice, especially when you got rookies coming up that you want to see good things from and not bad habits to form.
Yeah, you don't want Keon White seeing this. I mean, Keon White, everybody had questions about the guy's mentality as it was, and now he's going to watch Matt Judon, the guy he might look up to in that locker room, acting like he's acting. You don't want that there.
I agree, and I'll say I'm at a 6. He's moved one spot for me in a positive direction because of that. Matt Judon's probably one of your best players. He's probably a top 5 player on New England, and we can debate who the best players are. But in terms of statistically, listen, they have a bad roster, and I get that. But statistically, what he's done, he's a top top 5, we'll call it top 10 player on a 53-man roster. To kick one of your better players off the field because he doesn't want to show up, I think that sets a good precedent. I think it sets a good precedent for the locker room to say, listen, we want guys here who want to be here. I don't want you to be here as a sideshow act. You're either in pads practicing with us or you're not. You let your agent deal with the front office, but you're not going to come to my field as the head coach and shuck and jive and just fuck around all day. It's not going to happen on my watch. It's time for you to walk away. And I respect that because that is how the coach should handle it. He shouldn't be a distraction, like Steve said. Keon White might look up to him. Keon White might have been learning from him last year, and now he's seeing this behavior, and that's setting a precedent for the locker room. So I think what he did was the right thing. If Judon comes back, you come back to play. You don't come back to just sit here, and you're not pleading your case to the team. The team is not, the players on the team, I should clarify, is not the reason you're not paid. So your beef, do the old Terrell Owens, go work out in your driveway and have the media surround you, but not here.
Oh, be a leader. Don't be what he's being. Be a leader. Come to the field and play or want them.
Yeah.
My one question, the one thing I'm going to throw out there is I've seen it on Twitter. It's been a conversation, and everybody's so emotional about Matt Judon. Pay him. Just pay him. We love him. He's such a great guy. He wants to be here. So my hypocritical question is this. Everybody loved Bill Belichick in New England, right? Most people, I would say it was 88% loved Bill Belichick. Well, Bill Belichick got rid of guys like Lawyer Malloy, and we always heard better to get rid of him too early than it is too late, right?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, so why is everybody being a hypocrite with Matt Judon? It's already too late almost, if it isn't.
Yeah.
And still don't want to get rid of him yet. We always, oh my God, Belichick is the biggest genius for getting rid of people too early as opposed to too late. Why is this a difference?
Do you want to take that? I do have a theory.
So I think that because what you see in the first season and what Judon is, he can be a top offensive player on that team. Why get rid of him when you're rebuilding anyway? I mean, you don't have to pay the guy, but if he's on the field, it's better to be on the field than off the field. And if I was a coach, yeah, he might want to get paid, but I would rather on the field. And like you got Keon White, guys out on that defense that probably look up to him. They're now seeing this. It doesn't look good.
So my theory is probably the reverse of that. It's really Tom Brady inclusive, is the fact that you won. So winning cures everything. When you cut guys and you win, people early on didn't credit Tom Brady. They credited Bill Belichick. So when he did that, it was like, yeah, no, who cares? We're still winning. Now, as we've seen, when you lose the greatest quarterback of all time, it's not as easy to win and cut these players. So now you're a bad team. And I think fans are clinging on to good players. And Judon's a good player. He is. He's just not – he's not a difference maker. There's no reason to keep him. Even if he was the sack leader of the league and he had 15 sacks last year, you still went 4-13. You're not much better this year. You're growing, and you're seeing growth from guys. You're seeing, like, I know it's mini camp, and I'm not trying to put the cart before the horse, but like Javon Baker looks good. Jalen Polk, it's like you're seeing 2 rookie receivers who look good for the first time since 20 years. Like, we've never seen a good rookie wide receiver here, and these guys are looking good. Caden Wallace might be your starting left tackle. They've said he's looked really good. So it's like you're in a complete rebuild. These guys, these young guys who might be good, they're not going to push you over the edge with Matt Judon this year. So you have to think practical and not emotional.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
And let's go. Let's jump right into these guys. Javon Baker and my guy Jalen Polk. You guys know I was big on Jalen Polk. Offensively, what are you kind of expecting from the Patriots? Because I know we're 2 days into padded practice, but I'm starting to like the idea of Polk, Baker, Douglas, because I don't like any other receivers on the team. Javon Baker is drawing comparisons to George Pickens, who George Pickens isn't the greatest thing ever, but it's the best thing we've had in a rookie in a long time. I mean, what are you guys' thoughts there?
So Baker, I've watched plenty of video on this kid, and whoever's throwing the ball, whether it be 20 yards, 30 yards, or a bomb down the field, he's catching the ball.
Yeah.
And he's I sent you a video of him earlier. It was like a 25-yard pass, and he caught it over 2 defenders.
Yeah.
That kid can play, man. And I'm saying this as a Patriots fan, and it's good to see because, like you said, when's the last good receiver we drafted? I can't
Chad
even.
Jackson?
Huh?
I said
PK
Chad.
Sam.
Yeah, I said Chad Jackson.
So we need to see that what you see from him. And Demario Douglas is playing with a red shirt right now. He's hurt right now. His hand's hurt or his wrist is hurt. You're actually getting more reps out of them with padded practice now.
Yeah.
And I love seeing that because what if you could go in this as Douglas is your slot and those two is your number 1 and 2 and see what they do?
Yeah, I'm be fine with that because I don't like Juju Smith-Schuster. I'm not a Osborne fan. The only wrench in that is Kendrick Bourne, who I like Kendrick Bourne, but he's also coming off. Is it his Achilles, right, or is it ACL?
ACL.
ACL. Okay, so ACL, one or the other. Both of those are really horrific injuries, to come back from. So, that's the only wrench in that is Kendrick Bourne is probably your number 1 if he's healthy. But I like both those 2 young receivers. I'm going to go on a Polk little tangent here because Polk shredded the cornerbacks on 1-versus-1 drills the other day. He won 3 out of the 4 reps. The only one he lost, he actually dropped the pass. He's looked really, really good. They said he's been shredding the cornerbacks. And he had a pair of touchdowns in 7v7 and 11v11. Like, he's looking good. And I know we've watched all the highlights. Baker making ridiculous catch after ridiculous catch. Like, it's so good to see. But then on the other hand, you have 2 quarterbacks who are really struggling. The only good news for Patriots fans about Drake May having really bad days is I shouldn't say the only good news for Patriots fans. The only good news for Drake May is that Jacoby Brissett is having equally bad days. They were saying he was very inaccurate, so it's not good.
I don't think I finished the text, but yesterday May had a bad day. He completed 3 passes and 3 or 4 of them could have been called drops, I guess you could say. Jacoby went 13 of 16 with throwing dimes on the field and was looking good yesterday. Now it seems like it's back and forth. May will have a good day, and Brissett has a bad day, and then it goes the other way around. And I don't know if that has to do with who they're playing on defense. I don't know who's getting what reps and stuff like that because you don't see it all on the field when you're watching the videos. So it's hard to describe, but, Van Pelt played with Jacoby Brissett. He's going to end up being the starter, and I believe that's what they're leaning towards right now.
All right, Steve, before I let you absolutely go on a rant here, because I want you to, Drake May, they're saying that reports of the offensive line are doing him no favors, naming specifically Antonio Mafi, rookie Aiden Robinson, also a part of that. I'm starting to come off of my stance as May being the starter, which is extremely disappointing for me. But he's clearly not ready to be the starter. Unless something changes like drastically at 21 years old for today on this podcast, you guys were right. It's okay to be patient with him, which again is why I hated that pick at 3. But he's clearly not ready, but he does show flashes. So I guess don't ruin him.
That's how I feel.
Steve,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say I was right or anything like that. No, I won't do that. What I'll say is it's all of that. I mean, he has, I don't know how much tape you've seen, but he has little things and people are commenting on the people who have done it for years. Apparently when he throws to his right, he's got a hitch in his delivery. Like, there are little things like that are silly, but obviously are important in game.
Yeah.
Seeing some of the scenes that people are posting, whether on YouTube or anything else, of throws by him, you see things that people are like, oh my God, look at this throw. It was so amazing. And you watch it and you're like, well, the receiver had to slow down on the route. Like, it was an underthrown ball that the receiver made a play. Like, there's a lot of things, I guess, some people don't see, some people do see. I don't want to be right in this. I want this kid to be an absolute stud. I want us as fans to have the guy for the next 15 years, 12 years, whatever we're lucky enough to get. That's what I want. I never wanted this guy. I never wanted him at 3. I never liked the idea of it. I don't like drafting the third quarterback because you're taking what's remaining. You're not taking who you wanted necessarily, unless you're the luckiest team in the world and the best guy in your mind dropped to 3. How exciting is it going to be to watch Jacoby Brissett play? It's not going to be exciting.
No.
None of us are going to be excited, except for the fact of Polk and Baker and guys like that will be able to watch. And maybe Brissett can bring a little something out of them because of his veteran leadership. Maybe that's what I'll try to hitch on to. But no, I hate the fact that Drake May hasn't blown. I wanted to be the person to come on this podcast and say, I was wrong. This kid's a stud. He's an absolute stud. I wanted to be so wrong. And most men don't ever say that. But I want to be wrong in this situation. Right now, I'm just not.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this, too. I hated the pick then. I'm not a fan of the pick now. I don't hate the player. It's not his fault that they hyped him up to the number 3 pick. It's just he's just got to learn and grow, and hopefully he develops into that guy. He obviously – I know we did the text chain, and Steve, unfortunately, you had gotten sick right after that, so you weren't able to come on. But he was wanted. Why he picked UNC, I can't speak to. But Smart wanted him at Georgia, Saban wanted him at Alabama, Sweeney wanted him at Clemson, Harbaugh wanted him at Michigan. So I do think there is talent there. Clearly, when you see these videos, you're right. You can see the receivers. He threw one to Polk the other day, and Polk had 2 or 3 steps on a guy, and he still makes the catch, but he has to slow down to make the catch, whereas a guy like Josh Allen might hit him in stride. So I'll say the only thing I'll say is if they can surround him with good players, if Polk and Baker are legit, right? You see a guy who doesn't have a great arm is Tua Tagovailoa, but he's got Waddle and Hill. And that will change an offense. So if you have receivers with guys, and I don't think, and I don't know this, but I don't think Drake May's arm is as bad as Tua's. I just don't think Tua has a great arm. And I don't know what May's will be, but it is time for me to come off that because I don't want to see. He's 21 years old now, and he's clearly has work to do when you watch him.
No, he's. I said I didn't like the pick. Just like you guys. But I said, you can't start right away.
Yeah.
Now, you're hearing from 24/7 Sports that some executives in the NFL, from watching some of the pre-camp tape and the new camp tape, is that he looks like a raw, poor man's Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
And, I mean, his arm is good. He could run. Raw. I said raw. I didn't say Justin Herbert's a
No. I'm more stuck on the poor man's part of it because the poor man's Justin Herbert doesn't excite me. That's the part
it doesn't excite me either, too, because I'm not a Justin Herbert guy.
I'm trying to give him a pass because of his coaching. His coaching has been horrendous.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to give him a pass on that and see what he does this year with Harbaugh. Like that, I think this year will be the tell on Herbert.
Yeah.
Oh, without a doubt.
But Harbaugh, and I love Michigan football. You guys know that. Harbaugh's offense isn't exactly an air raid offense. He's had Hassan Haskins. He's had Blake Corum. He's had a lot of running backs, who they were a power run game. You saw that with J.J. McCarthy. He's another guy who got hyped up. So Harbaugh was like the quarterback whisperer, but really they weren't a dominant passing offense. They were a dominant running offense. They have these big offensive linemen, and they ran Blake Corum behind them. Before that, it was, like I said, Hassan Haskins and a litany of other guys. So I just...
Well, for me, it's not that. It's not like I'm not expecting them to turn up to be the Chiefs. My thing is less mistakes, actually running the game. I want to see him. I'm not going to say like he had Kaepernick in San Francisco, but those were clean games. Turnovers were down. It was a smart offense run. If Herbert can run that offense and the defense can do a little bit more than they've done recently and hopefully stay healthy, I guess is the biggest point. Yeah. I think they could be all right at it.
Yeah. We'll see. I know that he's talented. I'm not trying to but he gets billed as like a top 5 quarterback, and he'll fall into people's top 5. And I just don't have him in my top 5. We could do a quarterback after we do power rankings, which we're going to get to at some point in the near future, doing our bottom half of the league. But Herbert, he hasn't done anything that I would say like, oh, he's definitely there. He's, bad team, but he's definitely a top 5 quarterback. I don't know. I think there's a number of other guys I would build around.
He's still, in my eyes, he's still a top 10 quarterback. With a
I know,
bad.
I'm trying to think of 5 that are better, and I'm stuck at like 3, 4. Obviously, yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it later.
Well, right off the rip, who do you have in front of him?
Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Jackson. Of the 4, I
Stroud.
have no question.
CJ Stroud.
Yes, I guess for now, I'm so worried about the sophomore slump, and I'm kind of Stephon Diggs is a whole nother conversation. So I'm kind of worried about all that stuff. But CJ Stroud, what he did last year is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, if you're what about like a guy? Where do you put him with Matt Stafford?
I think I put his arm talent in because of his age a little bit higher than Stafford. The guys that I have him like dancing around with, I mean, who else? No, I still question Jared Goff because of his mentality. More like Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts. Like I think we're within that crew.
Yeah, I can see that. That's a fair place to put him.
No, it is.
Yeah.
Like if somebody told me that they would rather have Dak than Herbert, I might argue it. I don't know that I would argue that hard for it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? He's definitely a tier 2 or 3 guy. Like tier 1, I think is probably just Mahomes, right? Yeah. I mean, he's in a league by himself. Tier 2, I don't want to break too much off this because we're doing Patriots, but he's probably a tier 3 guy. But yeah, so we'll keep going and pushing forward because I want the Beard to get to take his bow from the podium right now too before we move on to the Red Sox because it has finally come to fruition. Ramondre Stevenson has come out and said he loves the new outside zone run scheme from Alex Van Pelt. So it looks like we have an offensive identity, and I think you're going to see a lot of running. And Ramondre Stevenson, he loves it. And your guy Antonio Gibson's back. So the Beard, you were on the forefront of this saying it's going to be a heavy run game.
So Gibson has actually looked great so far in pads. And before pads, they've been using him out the backfield a lot, catching balls. And I think he caught a 30-yard screen pass that just took off. He runs a 4.39, so he's not slow by any means. He takes off. I think they're going to be a good combination of players right there that you're going to run the ball. I'm just scared for the offensive line right now because you want to have an identity of a running game, but you don't even know your right tackle from last year is supposed to play left tackle, but now he's playing guard in this system because he can't play tackle. And then you're putting Wallace at left tackle, who wasn't a left tackle in college.
Yeah.
So I knew they were going to run the ball. I knew it was going to be heavy run. Mayo loves Stevenson. He's already said he's one of the best backs in the league. So I saw that coming from the forefront, but I think it is to just build Drake May to learn. And that's what they need to lean on with Brissett in as quarterback because he doesn't have the arm talent and all that stuff. He doesn't.
Yeah. What scares me is Gerard Mayo said they were asking him about City So because City So has been starting since the spring in spring practices. And they asked him, and they said, "Is that indicative?" I'll paraphrase. Is that indicative of him being a starter? He's looking better, and Gerard Mayo's answer was, "There's no starters yet," and that really concerns me. That you don't know who your starters are on the offensive line, and you want to have you've identified this as an outside zone running game. That's pretty terrifying.
Definitely is. Offensive line's bad.
I'm just happy I'm like 15 years younger now. I must be because they're running a run, all defense and running. That's what we're going to do is the rushing game and defense. I didn't know it was 2006. I didn't know we were running this back.
2006. Earlier. I guess, Corey Dillon. I was going to go even before Bledsoe, before they had a passing quarterback.
Yeah.
So I'll do one final thought on the Patriots before we move on to the Red Sox because it was a big day. It was trade deadline day. Devastating news about Christian Barmore. Obviously, I just hope he gets better and recovers as fast as possible, gets healthy, and is back on the field. But really, really terrible to see that happen to anyone, but especially a guy who's on our team who we really fell in love with Christian Barmore in New England. He's a dog, so hopefully he gets better.
Love Barmore.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that being said, we are going to move on. Today was MLB trade deadline day. The Red Sox made moves. We're going to find out how everyone feels about these moves. First things first, they're playing Seattle tonight. They're 3-7 since the All-Star break. They're losing every series 2-3. Then that was against LA, Colorado, and the Yankees. And yes, I did put the Rockies in there because for some reason they could not beat the Rockies in 2 out of the 3 or even sweep them. They are now 1 game out of a wild card spot. In these 10 games, they scored 67 runs. So they're averaging 7 runs a game. They've given up 82 runs. This goes to how bad their pitching and their bullpen is. They're playing the Mariners tonight and Wednesday before heading to Texas for 3 with the Rangers, followed by Kansas City for 3 more. I predicted 90 wins, and I'm starting to get nervous because while the Red Sox did make trades, I feel like they made the safest moves possible, address areas in need because they didn't want to spend any money, but I just don't feel like they made the push they should have for guys. How do you guys feel, Steve?
Yeah, I feel the same exact way. I think it's kind of embarrassing. I mean, we said it. It's going to be embarrassing if they do nothing for this team. The way that they've competed, the way Alex Cora has managed this year, they've been phenomenal. And it's tied 3-3 right now, top 5th. But Big Maple's in trouble. He's got bases loaded with no outs. Yeah, I mean, more should have been done. I think it's embarrassing the way they handled this. I mean, they've been struggling, but they're still only a game out of the wild card. 3-7, I get it. But the fact of the matter is it's gonna turn, and it's gonna turn bad because these guys, the same as we've seen in recent times, they go to trade deadline, they're still competing, they do nothing for them, and they just drop. I mean, the one bat they got, Danny Jansen. I literally on my notes, I have everything written up for the arms that they got for Danny Jansen. I wrote whatever.
Yeah,
that's how I felt about it. It means nothing to me. I back up for Connor Wong. I'm good.
Well, I and that's one. I'll let you go, Kiefer. After this, that's one where I heard the name, I know the player, and I thought, okay, it's a step up from Reese McGuire. And then I looked at his numbers this year, and he's exactly the same as Reese McGuire. So it was a lot. I almost wonder if the Reese McGuire move was like really coming off the heels of this Colorado pitcher screaming at him. Did you see this?
Yeah.
After he gets him out, and he says, "You effing jacked off in a car," and it was like the next day they traded for Danny Jansen and they cut Reese McGuire. They didn't even option him. They just cut
it was Quantrill's son. It was Paul Quantrill's son.
Yeah, Cal Quantrill, which is a guy who initially he was on one of my lists. Like, oh, try to trade for him. I mean, the Rockies stink. That would have been a real interesting one. I would have liked it, but yeah, it was such a lateral move. Jansen, I guess, brings more pop. I mean, I don't know. He didn't do anything to make me believe it. Beard, what do you think of all the moves?
So I want to know what they promised Cora to sign him, and then they say they were going to make trades. What are these trades? I can understand getting rid of Reese McGuire after that incident. I can understand that. But you could have found a better catcher to trade for. You could have found other players. Cora signs 3 years. Oh, we're gonna go big. We're gonna go home, and then you get this. And no.
I mean, I'll say this: the 2 bullpen arms they got, Luis Garcia and Lucas Sims, are obviously better than what you have. Their ERAs are below 4. I mean, you needed help there. Bringing in James Paxton as a guy who we know and we've seen, he's 8-2, but he's 8-2 on the Dodgers. Like, he's still got a 4.43 ERA. I don't hate the move. You needed a 5th pitcher. I just think you could have done so much better. I'll say the one move I loved is getting Quinn Priester because I think Nick York is a bum. I don't think he's ever going to make the majors. And Quinn Priester's 23. He's already played in the majors. He probably needs to be fixed, but I'm fine with that move, but it was not a move for this year.
Oh, it wasn't a move for this, but it was a good move.
Great move. Honestly, that was the best move they made, and it was a move for the future. Quinn Priester, he was on the under whatever the future stars game. Like He's a guy with a big arm.
Yeah, he's an Andrew Bailey guy. It's somebody they're gonna try to get Bailey to fix. I like that move. Paxton is, like you said, he's in LA 8-2.
Yeah.
I think he's like either first or second in run support this season so far, wherever he stands. And I guess we'll see with that. But remember, he was being DFA'd. He was being cut anyway.
Yeah.
So that trade just happened. I mean, the Dodgers were getting rid of him anyway.
Yeah.
The Sims one he's got a high whip. He walks a lot of people. I like Garcia.
Yeah.
I think he's looked real good. I mean, the sub-4 ERA, he's got a 1.16 whip, 40 Ks in 43 innings. I like that one. But again, not enough. Not even close to enough.
Well,
and I agree with you on the York thing. I completely agree with that. But I will say I think you could have gotten more for York. That's the one thing I will say.
Probably.
Now, did they get scared for trading for Crochet because he said that he wanted a Crochet?
Money.
He wanted a contract extension to be signed before the trade or something like that?
Probably. I think that must have scared off a lot of teams because he didn't move.
No, he didn't move it. That's why I'm wondering, did it scare him off with him saying that? Because he would have been an ideal fifth starter, especially over Paxton. Because again, Paxton plays in LA.
I think that's what stopped a lot of people for going for him. I think that's insane. He's 26 years old. I don't know why. He had a list of demands. He wasn't going to come out of the bullpen. He wanted a deal or he wouldn't pitch in the playoffs. And he made a couple demands. All demands that I thought were perfectly reasonable to get a 26-year-old pitcher on this team. Like, this isn't going to the Dodgers or someone who's we have the cap space to actually sign him. I don't know why you wouldn't. What really concerns me is the fact that just quickly, the Guardians, Orioles, Astros, Mariners, Rangers, Yankees, Twins, and Royals are all either in the playoffs right now or fighting for playoffs, and they all seem to have done better than the Red Sox. The Guardians got Alex Cobb, who's coming back from injury. He was an all-star last year, and Lane Thomas, an outfielder, which you could have used either of those guys. The Orioles go out and get Trevor Rogers, Zach Eflin, Sir Anthony Dominguez, Christian Pache, Gregory Soto, and Eloy Jimenez. The Astros go get Kikuchi from the Blue Jays, which we talked about him. The Mariners went and got Justin Turner, Yimi Garcia, Randy Rosarena, and JT Chagot. I'm not going to butcher his name. He's a relief pitcher. The Rangers go get Michael Lorenzen, Carson Kelly, Andrew Chafin. The Yankees get Mark Leiter Jr. and Jazz Chisholm Jr. Me and Kiefer talked about that last time. Twins go get Tanner Scott, who's a relief pitcher, and the Royals get Paul DeJong. They needed a shortstop. These are all attainable guys. Nothing crazy. They all got better than the Red Sox.
Did you see what Jazz Chisholm did? They took Andrew Judge's bat.
Oh my God.
Came back and he jacked the home, but he comes back and he was like, I'll never use that bat again. That thing was heavy.
Yeah. But that's the thing is me and Kiefer both said this, and Stevie, I think you agreed with us. Jazz Chisholm was a guy who was rotting in Miami. You just give him something to play for.
Yep, 100%.
I think he's going to be a monster there. Another thing just to look at, I looked ahead. The August swoon that we are so used to seeing, they got the Rangers twice, who are fighting for a wild card spot. They have Kansas City, who's ahead of you in the wild card. They have Houston, which right now, Houston, I think, is fighting. They're 6 games back from the wild card, or maybe 4. I'm not positive. Baltimore, who obviously is a division leader. Arizona, who I think they're fighting for a playoff spot. They're 56 and 51. Toronto, who had a fire sale, they're only 8 games back from the wild card spot. And Detroit, they're 7 games back. And then you have, and that's it. So the combined record of the teams you're facing in the month of August is 386 and 364. They're winning at a 51% clip. You don't have pushovers coming. In September doesn't look much better.
No, we all thought they were going to push over Colorado and they jacked 21s on us.
So this is concerning to me that at the trade deadline they didn't make big moves. In the push for 90, we're well ahead of schedule. I don't even know that they get there because I don't know if they did enough.
Don't worry. Cass he's on assignment tonight. He's in Worcester, and you got Trevor Story's talking about he might be back this year, so you're all set. Don't worry about it.
My God.
Those are the trade deadline deals.
Trevor Story. I wrote an article when we were still writing about, is that the worst contract of Boston? And I believe it was. God help us if he comes. So what are we going to do with Cedane Rafaela?
Who knows?
They were already Brady. They were already telling about how Grady looks in the field and what in field or bat, and they were impressed with him. But then you have Story coming back. It just let him sit out.
I wouldn't put Trevor Story on the Lowell Spinners right now.
No.
If I can listen, there was a deadline move. I will take 90% of his contract. Just take him from us.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be great.
He'd probably be happy to go too. I mean, he's going to think this place is cursed at this point anyway.
Yeah, I mean, so with the moves that were made, they obviously got better. Did they do enough in your mind, Steve? Do they still have the playoff push in them? And do you think they make the playoffs?
I think they could have it in them. I do not think they make it. I think this is going to be a letdown. And I only think that because we've seen it the last few years. We've seen this exact story. They're pushing, they're trying, they get to the trade deadline, nothing's done for them, and they fall. And I just see this. It immediately hits the team as, well, they don't believe in us. So why do we give a shit? And it's just a mental thing. And unfortunately, it hits them. And I mean, like you said, the last 10 to 3-7, they've struggled coming out, out of the All-Star break. Yeah, I think it's going to go down from here.
All right, Kiefer, same question to you.
I don't think they make the play. Hoping they would. They did not do enough at the trade line. They didn't get a legitimate fifth starter. They needed that. That and the relief pitching was the biggest thing because you said they were averaging basically 7 runs. And your relief pitching just shits the bed on you. Like it's just not. It doesn't look pretty, and I don't see anything happening with the players that we got. Yeah, we might have gotten a little better, but it's not enough to make the push after seeing what other teams have done throughout the trade.
I mean, for me, I'm forever hopeful, but they have a push in them. I do. The problem is Rafi Devers is if he gets hurt, there's your offense. I mean, Duran's good, but Rafi Devers, they're centric around him for an offense, in my opinion. So I had to look at the route. You're not catching the Orioles or the Yankees. You're 6 games back in the East, and both those teams got much better. After the trade deadline, you got maybe marginally better. Only because the 2 arms they got in the bullpen I like. They don't catapult you ahead of either of those 2 teams. So you're fighting for a wild card spot. So do I think you're better than the Twins, the Royals, the Astros, the Mariners, even the Rays, who sold off for only 3.5 games behind a wild card spot? The American League, there's a lot of pretty good teams that are all fighting for these 3 spots. In New York or Baltimore is getting one of them because I think New York's only half a game behind Baltimore right now, and both those teams are really good. So they're getting one. You got to ask yourself, like the Guardians are probably going to win the Central. So you got to be better than the Twins and Royals. And we're going to see coming up because they're playing the Royals coming up here. I don't know if they are. I hope they are. Can they make the playoffs? Yes. I mean, just doing a quick look at their schedule, August looks brutal, and they finish off September. They have like 3 with the Yankees, 3 with the Orioles, 3 with the Rays. Like they play a lot of division baseball. I don't think they make the playoffs. And I even said earlier in the year, they could win 90 games. So I said they will win 90 games, and they still might not even make the playoffs. And I think that's still a real possibility for them.
Yeah.
Well, before we let everyone go, because this has been excellent, it's great having Steve back. Let's talk a little U.S. Olympics. I know we're not going to talk too much about it, but USA basketball, men's basketball. We talk a lot about the Celtics. And Steve, you brought up a good point when I talked to you a little bit earlier, just to check in with you. Jason Tatum doesn't get on the court. And I want to know what your speculation is, because you made a very interesting point. And I love it.
decided to not have an opinion on it because the truth of the matter is nobody knows why. Steve Kerr has said a couple different things. Oh, I'm an idiot for not playing him. Or he didn't fit into the system for today, this game with KD coming back. Like, he said some weird stuff, which are easy. So the point that I can't say the point that I made, but my conspiracy theory, if you will, is maybe Tatum got in trouble. Maybe he did something stupid. Maybe he missed curfew. Maybe he did something. There was also a second guy that didn't play, and that's Tyrese Halliburton. Now, I'm not saying this happened. Again, it's a conspiracy theory. It's a complete speculation. However, maybe they got into a little tussle at practice. Maybe something happened off camera, and they said, all right, you two assholes aren't playing in the first game. That's what's going to happen. This is your punishment. And Steve Kerr is sitting here taking it on the chin from everybody, whether Boston or not local, about sitting Tatum. How do you sit him? He's the only first-team NBA member that you have on USA Basketball, and he's not even getting playing time. People are crushing Steve Kerr. And maybe he's the best person in this whole situation because he's taking it on the chin and not throwing these guys under the bus to the media. I just don't know.
I love that theory because truly no one knows. I mean, Kerr basically essentially said time got away from me. It's hard to fit everybody in a short window of time. And I really thought that was an excellent little point because it's like Malcolm Butler. Why doesn't he play in the Super Bowl? Like, we're never going to know. Steve Kerr is just going to keep saying it got away from me. I find it hard to believe that a guy who's won 3 NBA championships let time get away from him. I just find that hard to believe.
Now, I like the theories, but it's something against Celtics players now because Jaylen Brown didn't get selected to go play. Jason Tatum now getting benched. I mean, if people feeling some type of way, I don't know, but it's crazy to think that he kept him off the court knowing how good he is.
I would give you a little stock in that, except Drew Holiday played, and
I know.
The guy
Andy White.
And yeah, they both played, but I don't think Kerr operates like that. But I want to really stand out because LeBron plays the most minutes. He finishes with 26, 9, and 7. I continue to be impressed by him. I am a LeBron hater, but I just continue. The guy's almost 40 years old, and he's still playing probably the best basketball in the world. There's probably not a better singular athlete in the basketball than him. Durant hits 23 off the bench, but Drew Holiday, he continues to just be such an efficient guard. 15 points on 6 for 8 shooting. Like, how good is this guy going to be for the Celtics going forward?
Amazing. I am so pumped.
I'm sorry, Boston, but he is so much better than Marcus Smart.
You don't even have to apologize. If there's a Bostonian who still would take Marcus Smart over Drew Holiday, you are insane or on drugs.
Or both.
Yeah.
So wrapping things up, USA, as of today, when I looked it up, I don't know what the medal count is currently, but they were leading the medal count with 26 medals completely. Men's team defeated Serbia 110-84. They got South Sudan tomorrow, who they barely eked by. I expect it to be a different game. We've talked about this before. They're winning the gold, right? Is there a team? Do you think Canada could actually compete with them?
No.
Dave?
I think there's a chance.
Oh.
I think Canada's a good team.
Canada's good. They
Canada's
struggled
a
against
problem.
Greece, though. And Greece has Giannis and then a bunch of plumbers.
Well, Giannis.
Well, at least they have Giannis. I mean, the U.S. beat Sudan by 1 when they were favored by 42.5.
Practice.
I mean, yeah, of course. But anything can happen. Joel Embiid looks horrible. I don't know if you see anything on him.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I don't know.
Shout out to all our Philly fans that watch this. Joel Embiid is horrible. He's not a winner. I mean, we know what his stats are, and stats don't tell the whole story. The guy doesn't win. When does he win?
He's never been to a conference final. He's the only MVP in history that's never made it to a conference final.
Yeah, so, I mean, Joel Embiid, listen, they might as well just start Bam Adebayo, you know what I mean, at the center spot. Anthony Davis, and let's just calm down Celtics fans, too, because I hear too many people bitching and complaining about this. Jason Tatum didn't play. Who cares? It's the Olympics. He's on the team. He's going to get a gold medal. He's going to play eventually. There's no, outside of Steve's conspiracy theory that him and Halliburton got into a wrestling match at practice. Like, who cares? It's the Olympics, baby. Sit back and just watch the USA dominate.
He just had to play extra games. Now you want him to play even more extra games going into camp?
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
let him rest. Take a couple days off.
Let him rest.
He's got the best seats in the house for an Olympic gold medal. And then you see all the memes that people are like, oh, he broke a record. He gave out 2,407 water cups. Hey, listen, you lazy slob, just like me. You're sitting on the couch watching him hand out those waters while this guy's coming off an NBA championship and he's about to have a gold medal, too.
And he signed a $63 million contract.
Yeah, like just who cares?
Stupid.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's going to do it for us, the Boston Boys Sports Podcast. Steve, a pleasure having you back, man. Just glad to see you're back on your feet, Beard. It's always a pleasure with you. We are partnered with Jones & for Sports. We make sports better. Like I said, check them out on all their social media sites. Guys, last word, Stevie.
Go Team USA and go Red Sox, I guess.
Beard, what do you got for us?
Team USA all the way.
All right. My final words. Team USA water polo team, female water polo team. That team is so good. Thank you, Flavor Flav, for sponsoring them and putting them on the maps. They're going to win another gold. They are monsters. Guys, take it easy.
Good
All
one.
right.